Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sobat Takwa Channel rahimakumullah. Berikut ini adalah wawancara seorang mualaf cantik yang baru saja memeluk agama Islam selama 6 tahun. Dan dia menceritakan kisah-kisahnya yang sangat menginspirasi bagi kita semua. Yuk kita simak bersama-sama.
Assalamualaikum, welcome everybody to Ramadan TV. My name is Tinella and I have been Muslim for about 6 years now. This is a very special segment. I have with me Paris, who is joining me to discuss her journey to Islam and her experiences becoming Muslim. So I guess we'll just start with a little bit about you.
Yeah, of course.
You know, whatever you're comfortable to share.
No worries.
So let us know your name, anything you would like to share with us about, you know, what do you do for a living? Yeah.
Of course. Assalamualaikum guys, my name's Paris. I've been Muslim for 6 years now, almost the same amount of time as Tinella, as we just found out.
Yes.
And I currently am studying law and working with the police.
Wow.
Alhamdulillah.
Oh wow.
So, yeah. Very
That's
fun.
awesome. What's your role with the police at the moment?
It's an administration role, but
Okay, cool.
hopefully if I graduate,
Yeah.
inshallah, then
Inshallah.
progress into a kind of different role that more focused on legislation.
Yeah, I graduated a law degree.
Are you, we're twins?
Yes,
Oh,
we are.
wow.
We're very similar,
I know.
actually.
This
We
is-
both
this is the
became
first time
Muslim
we've
the
met.
same time, same year.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is the first time we've met. We both became Muslim similar years, and yeah, I actually graduated a law degree. I think that year as well. Yeah.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah. I worked.
You converted?
No, a few years after that. Sorry, a few years after that. It's hard to remember when it feels like it's been so long ago.
I know,
It's gone so
I know.
fast, but it feels like it's been forever ago. But yeah, no, I actually graduated law as well and worked for government.
Yeah. Oh, mashallah.
Before I had my 2 children, my beautiful children.
Oh.
But yeah, snap. Very good to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you became Muslim about 6 years ago.
Yeah, 6 years ago, alhamdulillah. It seems like a lifetime ago now.
It would. So I guess we'll just rewind it all the way back to
All the
6
way
years
back.
ago. Or even maybe a bit further, because you might have a bit more of a journey that you'd like to share.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, what was it that, you know, what was the first thing that introduced you to Islam?
The first thing that introduced me to Islam. So I guess going back even before converting to Islam in 2016, all throughout high school I was involved within the Uniting Church and preaching, and I was actually meant to go into ministry 1 year after, in the year that I converted to Islam. I was meant to go into ministry school with a scholarship and become an ordained minister. But as I started to do my research into Christian theology deeper and deeper, I started finding a lot of holes within it and asking a lot of questions you may have done yourself, and a lot of contradictions within the theology and things that don't add up. And for a while there, I just didn't know what the world was or why I was here. And then alhamdulillah, I had some friends who were Muslim, and they introduced me to their sisters, and I started learning Islam through their family, alhamdulillah.
Wow,
and started seeing, because Islam is an Abrahamic faith as well, as same as Christianity, and I had never really seen the similarities before. And once those similarities started being opened up to me, and I started seeing the similarities between, you know, Jesus alayhi salam and all of this, it was a shock to me, and that's kind of how it started. That's how that journey began.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome actually, because like you said, you were interested in religion as it was, and then you were on the path to find out what it is that resonated with you, and then that came up, and wow. Was there something about Islam in particular that drew you to it, other than, you know, like, I don't know, is there something that you really, really found beautiful or just different to the Christian faith?
Yeah, definitely. But it wasn't one thing that I went, oh wow, I'm going to convert to Islam now and change my life. It was a lot of small things that helped me to realize that, wow, like, this is actually the truth. And it came from small things. I think like starting with Christianity, reading more into Christianity and seeing in the Old Testament, oh, you know, women are actually meant to cover their hair when they pray, and then starting to implement that myself, and then seeing how the other Christians are like, no, that was, people just did that because that was a cultural norm at the time. And also looking further into the way that we're supposed to pray as Christians as well, and just just being around the Muslim family that I was introduced to, and just seeing their mannerisms and the way that they implemented Islam into their life, it just became more apparent that Islam was the truth.
Yeah, wow. Mashallah, that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how long of a process do you think it was? Was it a long process learning about Islam, or was it, you know, like you said, you learnt things as you went along and being exposed to this family? Was it a really long process of a few months, or was it like, you know, a year?
Yeah, I would say it was over the period of almost a year. But being a teenager as you are, you're quite impulsive with your decisions. You're like, oh, I'm being Muslim, that's it. Tomorrow, khalas, I'm putting hijab on. But
How old were you?
I had just turned 18.
Wow, so quite young.
Quite young.
Yeah. I think I became Muslim in 2016, but I was about 22, 23.
Yeah, a little bit older.
A little bit older. Yeah.
Mashallah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, for me, it was a little bit different. I became Muslim. For me, it was more about creation and praying. I actually started praying before I took my shahada.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah, so I really wanted to, you know, be dutiful to Allah for everything that He had given me, you know, all the blessings that I had been given. And I think it was about a 6-month journey before I put a headscarf on.
Mashallah. Yeah.
But yeah, as a revert, it can be quite difficult, you know, making that transition.
Definitely.
Was it a long journey for you when you decided to wear the headscarf? I know you said that you like wanted to do everything ASAP.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was one of my faults, that I think I rushed into things very, very quickly. I was like, no, khalas, I've done my shahada. I'm going to put hijab on. I'm eating halal, and that's how it is.
I think it can be very exciting as well, though.
It is.
You're learning all these new things, right? Like, I mean, you'd already learned things previously through your religion, but you want to do right, and you want to do everything correct. So you just look at everything and go, I'm going to do this right now. But mashallah, you seem obviously quite strong.
And yourself as well. I know you've been through your fair share of hardships as well.
I mean, it is always difficult. Change is always difficult, especially for family.
Exactly. Very true.
Was it quite difficult for you when you decided to become Muslim?
Yeah, of course. I think anyone who decides to change their life to that factor, definitely. There are a lot of difficulties and a lot of complications along the way, but alhamdulillah, it's getting better now.
Yeah, inshallah, it only gets better.
Yeah.
I think for me, the headscarf was what made it a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, definitely.
Before that, I think my family didn't really take me seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
They were kind of like, oh, okay, just put that to the back of our heads, until it really challenged their ideals and their, you know.
Yeah, because when they start seeing a physical difference in their daughter, it really starts to get parents upset sometimes. That they really start to see, oh wow, it's a shock, you know, our daughter is taking this seriously and she is changing with her decision. But
wow. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, as the years go on, it slightly gets better, but there's always those tricky things that happen that you kind of have to brush up on that with them and just discuss it with them. I mean, it's always a work in progress, but
that's why, like, I would definitely recommend, like, for someone who is converting, you need to really open those lines of communication with your parents and with your family, and you need to explain to them, you know, from a very basic beginner level of what Islam is. And if they're Christian, I would definitely suggest opening with the comparisons between this is what Christianity is, this is what Islam is, and you really, really need to take your time. Because, you know, it's not a good thing to break those family bonds, especially if you I guess the advice we would give is don't rush it. Like, you can take your time with this, because like you were saying, like, when you first take your shahada, you almost feel a strong conviction that you need to quickly change your life, and you need to learn to pray quickly, you need to put scarf on, you need to change the way that you are, and you know.
I think for me, I agree, but I also in terms of when I took my shahada, like, I kept it secret actually for a little bit. So I didn't want to tell my parents, because I wanted to really keep it to myself so I could develop my confidence to actually tell them, and also to, you know, it's a big thing. You don't want any outside doubt so early on. So I kept it to myself for about a month. And then when I felt it was right, because obviously the connection between me and Allah, I felt that was really, really, really strong at the time, and I wanted to focus on that, because it's such a unique feeling for me, it was a little bit different. I wasn't a very strong Catholic, but I was Catholic, and I didn't really feel very connected to my faith. So when I became Muslim, it was like nothing I'd ever felt before. Like I felt so connected to God, and I really wanted to explore that further before I told my family, who undoubtedly,
definitely,
such a big change.
Because in some regard, you're still trying to figure out all of these things for yourself, and it's almost hard to articulate to anyone else what is actually going on.
Yeah, because then you get all the big questions. I mean, you know, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to? What is it that's making you change? Can't you just be like everybody else?
like everybody
in the family.
Like, why do you need to change?
But I think it came up a lot when I started to wear the headscarf, because obviously, like you said, it's such a contradiction to how they live their life, and it's so hard for them as well, right? Like we get so bogged down in, I feel like for us we're focusing so much on our connection with Allah, and then when we need to tell our families about it, it's not that we are upset with the way that they react, but we obviously don't want them to be upset with us, and we also don't want to feel like we're going to waver in our faith. So it's such a big deal for everyone involved. But it's such a big process.
It is. It really is, because there's a lot of things that you have to come to terms with yourself, because it's not like you're just changing one thing, you're changing everything about yourself. You're not just changing a label, or I'm Christian and now I'm Muslim. You change everything about yourself to your inner core. You know, 100%. Your moral compass changes, your identity changes, the way you perceive life and the way you perceive you.
I totally agree. I mean, I worked in customer service when I first became Muslim, and nobody knew I was Muslim, obviously, because they never really asked. You just say, hi, how you going? Put things through and that's it. But then when I decided to wear a headscarf, I went to work one day uncovered without a headscarf. The next day I was wearing a headscarf, and I'd been there for the same amount of time that I've been Muslim, 6 years now. I'd been there for 6 years, and everyone was like, whoa, who is that? Is that a new employee? Like, someone called me a ninja on my first day.
Are you a ninja?
You look like a ninja, because the uniform was black and white and the scarf was black.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, I just remember like that. Like you said, trying to be really confident in your decision. That's such an important step, being confident in your decision. And having the ability. I mean, I delayed putting on the headscarf because it was such a big decision for me. And then when I realized like the wisdom behind it, and that it was like an obligation from Allah, I decided to do it. And I kept thinking, what's the best way to go about this? Tomorrow I'll put the headscarf on and I'll go to work and I'll just wear it. But instead what I did, I made my intention to wear it over the weekend that I wasn't going to work. So then on Monday I had no choice. That's how I thought of it. I have no choice. I just have to go in and I'm covered. That's it.
Exactly.
And then I just had to deal with the repercussions from that, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because like there is no easy transition when it comes to, if you're at that step that you want to put headscarf on, there is no 1, 2, 3 step. It is a very hard transition and very quick one as well.
A lot of explanation you need to do to people, because they always want to ask.
Exactly.
You know?
So definitely, like you were saying, you do need to have a lot of confidence in your decision, and know why you're wearing your hijab, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed it, what Rasulullah has said about it. You know?
I agree.
And at the end of the day, if you have peace in your heart about the decision and you understand why, then you'll be able to articulate that to people who do ask.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of putting it. I agree. Yeah. Being a Riva it's a unique journey, but we share a lot of similarities with people who are already Muslim, just on a different level.
Very true.
Yeah.
It is true. No, definitely. Because, at the end of the day, I feel like whether you're Riva or not, whether you've taken Shahada or not, at the end of the day, you do have to pick Islam for yourself, whether you're Muslim or not. 100%. At some point in your life, you can't just be Muslim because your parents are Muslim. At some point you are going to lead your own life independently, and that has to be a choice that you take. 100%.
It's all about conscious decision making, right? And I feel like becoming Muslim is such a blessing, because it enabled me to really think about life as it was, and I challenged my own beliefs, like I just did everything that everybody else did. I wore what I wore because society did that. And then when I made the decision to become Muslim, it was like, okay, actually, hang on, let me think about this. Why do I dress like this? Like, I actually don't feel comfortable dressing like this. I want to cover myself a little bit more. So yeah, it's such a process, but it's such a beautiful one.
Yeah, exactly.
So grateful that you
It's
shared
hard,
your
but it's
story.
worth it,
Yeah.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing part of yours as well.
No worries.
In regards of conversion, what advice would you give?
Me?
Yes. What advice do you wish that you had when you converted?
I actually had a really good support network when I first converted.
Yeah.
I knew Muslims for quite a long time, so it wasn't very difficult for me to, I guess, go through that. I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
I guess my biggest piece of advice is what we've already discussed, to know the reasons that you're doing something.
Yeah.
To always, even if it's not about Islam, to question things and to actually work towards finding out why it is that we do the things that we do. It can be about anything, right? But in terms of Islam, like, for me, it was the beauty of creation that made me really want to be Muslim, because I just sat there and I thought, I started reading a book. It was written by a revert, actually.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah. And I knew a lot of Muslims, and I was given a book, and I actually opened it and started reading it. And it was about, creation, just so basic, right? For me, it was a very basic level, that connection, that spiritual connection with Allah, that enabled me to become Muslim eventually. But yeah, I guess my biggest piece would be to be confident in your decisions, to have a good support network, so important, a good education, have somewhere where you can go and speak to knowledgeable people about certain things and get the response.
Exactly.
But on that topic, we actually have a group which has recently started in Adelaide, which is run by Introduction to Islam. It's a new Muslim course. I know that you've heard about it.
Yes.
And we have an organisation named the Islamic Information Centre of South Australia. And through that, we've recently discovered that reverts need a little bit more support, social support. So for women, we have created a group called Sisterly, and basically through that we run monthly events. So keep updated on our social media, sisterly.au, for more updates on that. But we run social events for people that might be struggling, not just reverts, new Muslims, people who might even just be interested in Islam and just want to go somewhere where they can speak to Muslims, and bond, and over a cup of coffee or tea, whatever you prefer. But yeah, I think that's so important when you first become Muslim, having people to talk to.
Definitely, like there's such a strong emphasis on having that support network,
100%.
which mashallah, the work that you're doing currently, it's going to impact so many.
Alhamdulillah, inshallah it will. But do you have any other pieces of advice that you would like to give anyone who's looking to become Muslim, other than take it relatively slow?
Take it step by step.
Step by step, Well, don't overburden yourself, right? Like,
exactly.
We always want to do the best of everything. We want to do, everything so quickly. And it's important to pace ourselves, but also important that once you believe in Allah and the Prophet ﷺ as his messenger, then you just take that step, and everything else, slow process after that.
Exactly, alhamdulillah. But yeah, definitely, as you're saying before, and in order to have confidence in our decisions, and when we speak to people about Islam and the reason why we've converted, it's all about having that knowledge at the end of the day, making sure we're doing our research into our deen, reading hadith for ourselves, reading Quran with tafsir, and understanding what our religion is and what it says. Definitely. And speaking with scholars, as you said before as well, and getting those questions answered. Anything that you have, you just find out the answer so that you have peace within yourself. Very true.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. And don't forget to follow us on social media, sisterly.au, for more updates on our event.
Masya Allah, tabarakallah, sungguh sangat menginspirasi sekali ya, dari kisahnya dan juga pengalamannya dan pandangan-pandangan hidupnya tentang agama Islam. Semoga beliau istiqomah dan kita doakan bersama imannya dan juga keteguhannya dalam memeluk Islam sangat bermanfaat bagi umat Islam seluruh dunia dengan kisah yang dibagikannya ini. Dan terima kasih menonton. Sampai jumpa kembali di postingan berikutnya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.